Based in Tairāwhiti, Toro Technology Aotearoa is an innovative tech company aiming to incorporate Indigenous identity into their business model and the tech they create.
So Toro Technology is based here in Te Tairāwhiti. The reason that it's based here, I guess, was a sort of a convergence of a number of different people's personal journeys. So myself, I moved to Gisborne about 6 years ago from Hong Kong. My wife is Whanaapanaui and she wanted to come home and reconnect with family and culture. And I took a role at Leaderbrand, working in IT there. And about 5 years into that journey, Barry headed back with a vision of creating a tech hub. Not wanting to put words into his mouth, but that was a vision that we're targeting. And a mutual friend of ours, Matt Cowie, approached us both and said, we're looking to start up an IT tech company, and you two are both in Tairāwhiti. It seems like a good starting point.
So the tech hub, is that Toro? Is that what it is?
Yeah, we it partly came out of a passion that I had for entrepreneurship. So your fundamental problem for success in society is that it's a great thing to have lots of programs around education and all those inspiration, all those sort of things. But if you're not making money, particularly attracting foreign investment in terms of customer revenue and investment, then you're stealing from Peter to pay Paul. You're just going round and round in the community, and that's not going to grow a place. And I felt that the opportunity really was to drive entrepreneurship, but COVID stopped that because my way I was planning to do that was attract a whole lot of great entrepreneurs to the lifestyle here. So with that, I realised while I was treating water, I might as well deliver on the promise and go start up some companies. So we started up 3 of them. Toro Tech is the one that's really doing, really has the platform to be able to deliver on that promise.
So you recently entered into a project with Te Matatini. Can you explain what it was and what did Toro do in the project?
So yeah, with Te Matatini, they approached Barry, Barry worked with Te Matatini to come up with the concept of a digital judging platform. So Te Matatini have, ever since the beginning, have had a very rigorous and well-controlled judging process, but that has been paper-based. There was some work to move it to a digital platform, which was largely a combination of Excel spreadsheets. 1 year, and that gave him the taste for moving to a platform, and so we proposed to them that there was a way of migrating the integrity of that judging onto a system that would allow them to maintain their processes, their approach to judging, and also give them an ongoing repository, a cultural repository of as well as the results, but also the language that is captured in commentary around the judging. So over the course of around about 3 months, we developed with Te Matatini a platform that allowed them to do that. And then ran a number of training sessions, and working with people who have been had very little exposure to digital tech through to some of the judges who are in amongst tech all the time. Really interesting change process to go through with them and bring them along on that journey. And went live with the platform in the last Te Matatini in February, and yeah, I think it was able to live up to expectations.
Amazing. Te Matatini always lives up to expectations. I think it's absolutely one of the most significant cultural events in this country. I guess What was it like being able to produce technology for a significant Māori cultural event like that?
I think it's kind of interesting because when you're in the middle of it, you know the story with complex projects, you're just sweating it out, you know, just hoping that all of those risks that you've identified in your mitigation table are not going to come true. And you got to remember that the actual production event happened 1 week after the zombie apocalypse in the Tairāwhiti. And so we were flying up there. We had no comms, remember, in that week. So our entire team was here in Gisborne. We were off comms, off power, off everything, FPOS. We had no bloody idea what was going on. And so we had to drive 50 plus laptops from here, all configured, and get them up to Auckland and etc. without any knowledge, you know, before the event. So it was the most stressful build-up I can ever imagine to any project I've ever been involved in. Not to mention, they could not be 100% sure that the performers were going to turn up. And remember that also because of COVID, we did not have the normal dress rehearsal roll up to this process. There was meant to be a regional festival that would just test out the system, so we went into it live and blind.
Yeah.
I just maybe could add to that, from a Pākehā perspective, it was incredible to be so embedded in such a significant cultural event, and to have the privilege of being part of a substantial change for the Matatini organisation, you know, for my wife was leading the project, but the experience of being through that process and then being on the judging platform, just supporting the judges when they needed that support, it's incredible. And I think the opportunity for people in IT to be part of something that significant doesn't come around that often.
For me, you know, there's always measures of success. How did you measure success in this case?
Even on the day, because of the sheer significance of the event, there would have been some of the judges that would have been still very cautious about how this was going to work. And at the end of the 3 days, we had a number of the judges come up to us and say, we never want to go back to paper. But I also think prior to that, after I think it was the first training session, a couple of the judges again also said to us, so we're capturing our scoring, we're capturing our language in that. You could do that with some of the previous results. We're creating a cultural repository here. What could we do with it? So in terms of what you were asking about in terms of embracing that technology, and also I guess one of the things we did when we did the project kickoff within the team, we said obviously we need to maintain the integrity of the results and we need to maintain the integrity of the process, but we want to delight the customer. We want the customer to come back and be delighted, and I feel like the majority of them would say that was what happened, and they could see the opportunities for digital transformation going further in the Matatini society. So yeah, I think that's
amazing.
So one of those projects is the streamlining of language. So one of the challenges you get is it's a very highly technical environment, performing arts and that sort of thing. There's words and nomenclature there that are partly traditional and partly modern because they're reflecting new things that are happening on the stage. So they don't really have a common syntax from a lexicon point of view across that material, and that judges of this era are different to the judges of 50 years ago when the first festival started. However, the commentary is actually sitting there in a repository 50 years worth of language. And so ka hautu Maxwell, one of the judges asked me, he said, are you telling me that you could take that 50 years worth of language and reverse engineer that to generate a lexicon of performing arts terms in Māori? And I said, yeah, that's not complex, that's just AI. And he went, oh yeah, just AI. And I said, mate, you'll be surprised about AI. And I said, what I dreamt of 20 years ago is now possible at 1/10 the budget and length of time. And so that's the opportunity, is for them to be able to create a lexicon to train their judges to make them so much more streamlined and efficient, taking away time. So one of the biggest problems you see in judging is the length of time it takes to actually write a beautiful commentary about the team that you've just seen, because these guys the judges want to actually put the best language out there for that team, because they're taking that document away as an artifact that goes into the future description of their tribe and their sub-tribe and those sort of things. So helping them is actually a great thing to do in that way.
I think another element and a core element of the success that we would measure ourselves by was the 2 interns that we took on as part of a development. As Barry said, Toro was part of the judging team. We had a second graduate or second intern that also worked with us during the business analysis and during the testing of the system. And I think the experience that they have both been able to embrace as they've gone through that journey in a safe environment, with neither of them having done that sort of work before, but in a safe environment, in one that is core to their culture, was a really unique experience that a journey that they could walk. And I feel that they both took a good skill set and experience away that they'll be able to use elsewhere as well. So.
Awesome.
But if you wanted just straight metric on how we measure success, that project took a traditional team of 26 and reduced it to 3. Mm-hmm. It took an 8-hour certification process on the results and reduced it to 15 seconds. And it took an accuracy rating from about 60% through to 100% in terms of the results, needing to be verified and that sort of thing. So those are just the hardcore metrics, but the soft stuff is the people stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. So look, Toro is obviously tied to the whenua through whakapapa and relationships. But what's unique about Te Tairāwhiti for your company? Why, I guess, why did you all return, or why did your families return and set up here? Because it is not the easiest business environment, but it is innovative here.
Oh, well, to jump in first. So I came back because there's some specific reasons other than being from here and being committed to the region. I also love the challenge. Second most economically challenged region of New Zealand. Why not? Any sucker can go to some flash-rich place and make money. That's what I did. But after that, it's about purpose. So, what better is there than to help those who actually need it? And then after the zombie apocalypse, man, we all need it now. But the point is, when I look at leadership from a Māori point of view, this place just births great leadership. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Historically, you look at the best leaders in Māoridom have come from here. Sapirana Ngata, Moanangarimu, the Victoria Cross. You look at the academics, Kora Dews, Api Mahuika, all those kind of guys. So this place is rich. This place also happens to have the most Māori per capita. So at the moment in Gisborne, 53% of the city is Māori by descent, forecast to be 70% within 17 years. That tells you something needs to change in this town. This place can be set a new way of leadership for the country as a model where Māori lead things. And at 70% inside one child's education, that's not it's not just an obligation, that's actually a contract that we should all in this town be committing to, including our Pākehā brothers and sisters. So this, when I look at Gisborne and the Tairāwhiti, I think it's got the largest cultural treasure trove in the country. It's got the largest set of manuscripts of traditional mātauranga Māori or Māori knowledge sitting in the Alexander Turnbull Library. That is criminal. That should be back here. It should be with the people who own that material, using that to build a whole new way of looking at curriculum. The world is looking at New Zealand as a leadership model, and I can tell you that that's what we're going to do with Tairāwhiti. We're going to actually make this place the leadership model it should be for the country, and we'll use tech to do that. So some of the projects we're about to embark on are pretty significant national projects and have got a number of government departments salivating over the opportunity.
I think for myself, Melka, my wife, who whakapapas back through Callaghan, through to whānau Apanui, she wanted to reconnect with her culture and her family, and that was really critical for our move. I wasn't sure how I was going to go coming back here, I'll be honest. And then you get involved in some of the projects that Barry's talked about on a national scale. We have projects internationally in Australia and the US. And we have projects here, locally in region. So my wife and Terry, one of the guys that we've taken on recently, who is Rangofa Carter, they're working on a platform with Tairāwhiti Arts so that we can put local galleries on a platform and have people internationally walk through those galleries, see the art and buy the art.
Amazing.
That's so we're lucky that we are able to be part of really local, meaningful, purpose-led projects and national and international projects, and we can do that from here because there's no reason, as Barry said, why you can't.
Look, so just I guess in closing, Toro's obviously doing some amazing things in the Māori space. Are there any innovations that Toro have on the horizon that that you think could be, you know, a game changer for advancing Māori tech?
It's a tough question because it depends on what your definition of Māori tech is, and when you think about tech in general, that's a wide term, right? Because second largest export earner right now is tech, and forecast in 3 years to be the number one. But it covers everything. It covers every industry, so it's kind of like a misnomer. Yeah. So placing some responsibility on two idiots who just turned up.
I think let's not then focus on the tech
what are we gonna
terminology.
Do for Māori?
What are you going to do for Māori that is innovative? Or what do you have on the horizon that's innovative?
We're going to do
Māori?
the hardest innovation possible for Māori. Get them jobs. That for me is the simple metric. If you can have a young Māori person from here meaningfully engaged on international transactions in their day job, you have game changed many things. I mean, we've got, you know, one of our developers, he has never left Gisborne. And he told us one day, he said, I can't believe that I'm doing this work from Gisborne. I go back to Manatukia hard and tell my family, and they just go, number one, we don't understand what the hell you're talking about, and number two, but you come home happy.
And this was after doing a course where he would have had to have left to go to Auckland or Wellington to have the ability, or have the opportunity, I should say, to do this kind of work. And you know, one of the things I would put an ask out for is for local businesses in this region and in other regions where you have other companies that are maybe getting into this space, is that you've got to be able to then step forward and connect with organisations like Toro and work with us to find and work with these people that we're bringing on. You know, at the moment there is this general philosophy of, if I need some tech skills, I've got to go and fly them in from Auckland, or I've got to fly them in from Wellington. Well, that's not the case anymore. We're building these skills, we're building these experiences, and it's up to you to walk that journey with us.
Toro and companies like it are working to create Māori technologies using culture and identity in conjunction with tech to further our understanding of te reo, create a repository of language and culture, and work with local bodies to create a thriving tech industry in the most Māori dense region of Aotearoa.